This is the Beesotted Pride of West London podcast, a hastily arranged emergency pod that comes to you after the news that Toney has been banned for 8 months for betting breaches. It's news that we as Bees fans have feared for months now. The FA have finally reached a verdict on the betting allegations, and Toney has been suspended from all football-related activity for 8 months for breaches of Football Association betting rules. The suspension will start with immediate effect. So although he missed the weekend game in West Ham with a supposed hamstring injury, he will certainly miss Brentford's final two at Tottenham on Saturday and at home to Man City on the final day of the season. The ban, if not reduced as part of any appeal, will last until January the 16th, 2024. And Toney has also been fined £50,000 after he admitted to the alleged breaches. He was charged with 262 breaches of FA Rule E8 between February the 25th, 2017 and January the 23rd, 2021. Toney will not be allowed to train with Brentford teammates until September 17th, 2023. So yeah, joining me tonight is Ali Malali, who's in the Beesotted bunker with me, Dave Lane. Ali, it's news that we've all expected and prepared for. It's a cloud that's hung over us all season. Has this still come as a bit of a surprise to you, though?
No, not really. On a good day, I thought it might be a 5 to 6 month ban. It may yet be that after appeal, because we've seen Joe Barton had his appeal reduced, his sentence reduced, as did Kieran Trippier on appeal. On a bad day, I thought it could have been over a year. So, it falls somewhere in between. Yeah, we knew it was coming, wasn't it? So it's not really, we can't really say it's a shock. You're still disappointed. You still think that there might have been some reason why, and it might not have been as bad as we feared. But yeah, I mean, if you're honest, I think we all knew it was coming. So, not surprised.
Not surprised, no. It's just obviously, it's dragged on for such a long time that we weren't actually ever quite sure when the news or when the bomb was going to drop.
It did feel like it was never going to happen, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of us, we talked about it and on podcasts, and we talked about it privately in the pub that, we assume that it may happen at the end of the season where, all the relegations and promotion issues were all done and dusted, and you can look at it with a bit more clarity perhaps, and not have other clubs kind of saying, oh, he shouldn't have been playing, and his goals have kept us up, and all of that. And you look on Twitter at the moment, there's a lot of fans of other clubs saying, Brentford should have stopped him playing a long time ago, which is just absolute hogwash, because there's absolutely no way until the authority mete out the punishment, the club assume he's innocent, and that's the way any club would have dealt with this situation. And if Gareth Southgate picks him for the England team with all this going on, then that kind of underlines that Brentford Football Club have done nothing wrong, which is kind of my starting point on this. It affects three key parties hugely here: the club, the player, and obviously us as fans. Ali, where does this leave the club? Because the club are pretty innocent in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, especially as most of the breaches were before Ivan was even at the club. I think in some ways, it probably doesn't leave us in a different position to where we were likely to have been, because I think if this hadn't happened, the likelihood is, I think Ivan's got 2 years currently left on his contract, the likelihood is he would have been sold in the summer. So we would, in all likelihood, have been starting next season without him. So from that point of view, probably the way the club's been planning for the last couple of years, nothing's really changed. What has changed is we are unlikely to get now peak value for him when he does. I mean, and it may well happen that we sell him in January. He's back for the, he's allowed to play from the January transfer window. May well be that we end up selling in January. It may well be that we have anyway seen the last of Ivan in a Brentford shirt, may not. But so we have probably less money than we thought we were going to have to spend on a replacement. There's also going to be the issue that clubs are going to look at, if Brentford are coming in for a striker, oh, well, they're desperate, they'll pay. That it immediately inflates the price, doesn't it? Because Brentford are, in inverted commas, we know this isn't true, but from the outside, Brentford are desperate. So it inflates the value. So I think in terms of how we were planning for a post-Ivan Brentford, we were probably planning for a post-Ivan Brentford from next season anyway. But it's just how not having the income that we thought we would have from a post-Ivan Brentford is going to affect planning for next season and the future.
And it really is a big punishment for Brentford, potentially. His valuation fluctuates wildly. Currently got a Beesotted poll up that's asking whether he's worth 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 or 50 million plus. Most people, even with this news, think he's worth 50 million pound plus, which I still think is realistic. But whether this if this hadn't happened, you could be nudging sort of 60s and 70s, but that could still happen anyway. But it's certainly tarnished his immediate reputation, although it won't affect a potential buyer one little jot as soon as he becomes available again. His goal scoring record in the top flight now speaks for himself, and him having been picked for England certainly adds to his valuation. It's clear. We brought in Kevin Schade in the last transfer window. That they must have had one eye on that signing as being, looking
100%, 100%, yeah. And there is an argument we've all seen us play without Ivan this season, and we've had some very good results away to Forest, which we probably should have won. We thumped Liverpool at home this weekend. We beat West Ham, and we have shown that we can play and win without him. Schade is very much an uncut diamond at the moment, but with a full pre-season behind him, and hopefully he will get a goal before the end of the season, because I think that's pretty crucial to his development, that he gets that first goal, and I think that will really help him to push on. So, and I'm sure the club have got their eye on potentially other players to come in. We know how well they plan. We know what Phil does. So, yeah, I think we've had one eye on this. We've had a long time to think about it, a long time to put plans in place, and it's sort of like Brentford aren't going to be caught on the back foot by this.
No, they would have had a succession plan with or without this anyway. Yeah. And Ivan was obviously going to move on at some stage, regardless of any of this. So they were always looking out for a replacement. Just
one thing more, I would really hope that the club, having backed him and stuck by him, and you never know with Ivan, I would hope that he does the decent thing and signs some sort of contract extension so the club can still maximise his value. I don't mind. I personally wouldn't mind if there's some sort of get out clause. If somebody comes in for you with European football or willing to pay X amount, we will let you go. But I would hope that the club will offer that, and I would hope that he knows that he owes the club something and signs it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to come at that angle from the fans' perspective as well. I mean, I agree. It would only seem the right thing to do to extend your contract by the amount of the ban, and that would be the gentlemanly thing to do. Whether it's the Ivan Toney thing to do,
exactly.
I don't know. Ivan seems to do what Ivan seems to do.
But maybe Ivan will learn that maybe Ivan's lesson from this. And for a character like Ivan, the lesson is you can't always do what you want to do. And I think it's a harsh lesson for him, and I think it's a big lesson for him. And I think I'm moving on to your next section, Dave. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's my next question.
I think he'll become a better character for it.
Where does it leave the player? That was my next question. So we've asked, where does it leave the club? Where does it leave the player? From a personal perspective, I think it's a massive embarrassment. I think he's let us down. I think he should have fessed up to this, when he joined. Not that anyone really ever does that, but in hindsight, etc. Whether there's a betting addiction issue, it hasn't been mentioned. No one's mentioned that at all, not including the player, not including the club. So I assume there isn't one. Ivan has had an opportunity today. He's made a Twitter statement, an Instagram statement. It doesn't mention anything about addictions or a problem, so let's assume that it's just recreational gambling. and like something that everyone does, and probably every professional player still does. Well, not every. There must be a sizable amount that do this.
Yes.
This isn't an isolated incident, and this isn't, just a one-off. And I think perhaps there should be an amnesty now, where other pros can come forward and completely just clear their history of any betting. Let's get the game clean. Let's get the betting off the shirt sponsorships. Let's get the betting off of anything related to the game. Let's clean up all of that, because if it's wrong to bet as a player, it's surely the hypocrisy is it's wrong to take betting money and from the betting industry as an industry. But Ivan he's a very resilient character. He seems to not be affected by a lot of things. He's been bombarded with racist abuse all year. He's had this hanging over him, and he's still banged the goals in every week. Will he be affected by this, Ali?
I think it will be. I have. This is just looking from the outside. I have no personal knowledge of Ivan Toney. I've never met Ivan Toney. I certainly don't know him in a private capacity. But he strikes me as somebody that thinks that he is almost... And part of what makes him such a good player is that he does strike me as somebody who until now has probably thought he's invincible, and probably didn't think that this... quite possibly didn't think that this was going to happen, or the ban wasn't going to be this long. And I think it's probably going to force him to have quite a long, hard look at himself, I think. And I think for somebody with that sort of... There's nothing wrong with arrogance in the right circumstances. There's nothing wrong with having a swagger. And like I said, a lot of it is self-confidence. A lot of it is what makes him the great player he is. But I think this might, for somebody of his character, a harsh lesson like this will probably... I would hope that he will feel after this that he is a better person for it, and probably maybe not a strong person, because I think he's very strong mentally anyway, but I think hopefully he will feel that he's a better person, and he becomes a better person for it, having learnt a very harsh lesson. And I think we all sit here and we all forget that at 27 he is still a very young man. Most of us are making mistakes all the way through our 20s.
Oh, young man.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we are. I think we forget how young footballers are, a lot of us. Yeah. Especially those of us who are older, we forget how young they are. And if we look back on what we were doing in our 20s, we all made mistakes, some of them big mistakes. And we don't have to deal with it in the glare of being, a Premier League footballer. So, and that's how you learn. You become better, you become a better person through your mistakes. And I would hope that he will become a better person from that. And I think by the end of it, I hope he will be. I think it will be good. I think in some ways, in a strange way, it will be good for him to have to go through this.
Yeah,
I think it'll make him a bit more humble.
Possibly. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, whether he likes it or not, it's scarred his legacy. Whenever he looks on Wikipedia in the future, it's going to be there. Yeah. It's something that's not just an allegation. It's a proven fact now, and we'll see what the details of the findings. They've not been published as yet. The kind of the meat on the bone of why they got to 8 months. There still doesn't seem to be any hint or any suggestion that there was anything kind of malicious in this, that he was betting on his team to lose, or there was any kind of like really sinister stuff going on. I'm sure the ban would have been of a different magnitude if that were the case. So again, we can only go on what's been announced. It's only common or garden recreational punting. So but he will always be chanted at now. Wherever he goes, it will be all about the money, and what are the odds, Ivan Toney, and all that kind of all the yawn fest of the gags that we've seen. So he's going to be he's going to be the butt of jokes for this foreseeable while.
But I think that he can probably look at Kieran Trippier from that point of view. Look at Kieran Trippier and see how Trippier has moved on from, his allegations and what he did. And there is life after this for Ivan. My fear would be that his England career may be over before it even started, because at 28, Harry Kane's still around. Is he going to get another chance? Is Ollie Watkins and whoever going to get back in ahead of him? I think his biggest personal regret might be that this scuppers his England career before it's even started. So I think for him as the player, I think that's going to be the hardest part. I still think he'll eventually get a move to a, inverted commas, big club. I think that will still happen, but I think it might be, for his England career, it might just have scuppered at the wrong time, because there's so many other young upcoming centre forwards at the moment who, if they get their foot in the door, if Ollie gets his foot back in the door, does well, he's going to be there ahead of Ivan. So, not that I'd love to see Ollie in the England squad as well. So I think as a player, that will be the biggest hit for him, probably.
So, last question for tonight. Where does it leave us as fans? Because it's been a situation that we've supported him all the way through the season. We've given him the benefit of the doubt of innocent until proven guilty, and we've sung his name, and we've fought his corner when people have come onto social media and kind of chucked brickbats at him. And do you feel let down as a fan now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course I'm incredibly disappointed and incredibly let down, because he's not just let himself down. He's let the club down. He's let the fans down. We're just almost unlucky from the point of view that he was playing for us when he got caught. But he's let the whole club down. He's let the fan base down. But that said, as I've said, people do make mistakes, and I think that we also have to back him when he comes back, assuming he does come back to play for us and he doesn't get sold in that January transfer window. Because what else can we do at this point? We can't just throw him on the scrap heap. I think most normal decent people believe in rehabilitation and believe that if you make a mistake, that's it. You're not just thrown on the scrap heap. I mean, God Almighty, every footballer who ever made a mistake was thrown on the scrap heap. There are footballers who have done far worse things than Ivan Toney and been rehabilitated. But I 100% feel let down, disappointed, quite angry, really, that it's happened. But I think we also have to move on from that, and we have to back the players who will be playing for us until January, 100%, get right behind them, which of course we will. And, we've been in this situation before when players that not so much us, but maybe other people felt were indispensable have moved on. Life after Scott Hogan, life after Neil Maupay, life after Ollie Watkins, life after Saeed Benrahma. Let's not forget, we were guaranteed to go down without Christian Eriksen. So, I think we'll be fine. I don't think there's any need to panic. But yeah, I think we have every right to feel disappointed and angry.
How about the frustration of the process? Is this something? Do you feel like this should have been sorted out earlier, or do you feel like the timing's right for Brentford now, or do you feel that we've been disproportionately punished for offences that happened before his time with the club? The offences ended on January the 23rd, 2021. This is more than 2 years ago that he stopped.
Yeah,
this.
I mean, most of the offences were before he even played for us, so it does feel disproportionately unfair on us. But
what I'm saying
I don't know what the Premier League can do. What can they do?
But should the fine be bigger? And the fine to the player should be bigger, and the suspension to us should be shorter. Maybe that's been taken into consideration already.
I don't know. I think it's really difficult.
Let's not be.
50,000 is nothing to him.
It's not even. It can't be
not a
even
week's
be a week's
wages,
wages.
is it? Probably not a
no.
week's wages, no. So, I mean, the fine is, we are being disproportionately, punished, as he wasn't our player for the majority of that time. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure how the Premier League punished the player without punishing the club. I think that's a bit of a catch-22 for them. I think from the point of view, it's probably happened at the best time it could happen, because we've only got 2 more games. We've had him for nearly all of this season. We've only got 2 more games. He served a reasonable amount of that ban over the summer. He can come back to training within a month of the season starting. We either get him for the rest of the season from January, or we can sell him for a lot of money in the January transfer window. So I think it would, if it had been done quickly, I think it could have been worse, because I think we might well have been scrambling around to find somebody to sort ourselves out more than we are now. I think we've had time to work out what we're going to do. But yeah, I mean, there's no perfect timing, is it? And there's nothing, no perfect way for Brentford.
No, and we're certainly not sitting there laughing about it, going, "Oh well, we're safe." It
not at all. That wasn't my point.
No. But I wasn't saying that was your point, but there's certainly that insinuation going around on social media that Brentford Football Club, they're laughing. No, we're not.
Not at all.
If it didn't impact us as much as it could have done this year, it's certainly going to impact us next year, and it's going to cost us financially. It's going to cost us in a plethora of ways. Look, so tonight was all about getting reaction from Beesotted straight away. We've had some really good feedback from fans on Twitter. Let's read a few of those out. Mark Bonner on Beesotted Twitter tonight at Beesotted. His reaction to the news is about what I expected. Hopefully the club finds grounds for appeal and it gets reduced. I do feel some anger towards Barry Fry. I'd like to know if Peterborough are subject to the legal reduction in their sell-ons, and if they did any rehab training for the rule-breaking tenure there.
Well, that's a good question, actually, about the sell-on fees. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there's one here that I spotted from our friend, the Liberal Nick Carthew, friend of the podcast, and he says, I haven't seen all the details, but during the ban, why don't the FA get Ivan to go and talk with young footballers and others about needing to ensure they understand the responsibilities of being professional footballers? Ex-offenders are good role models for this. That's a good point. I mean, my slight concern with ban from all footballing relating activity is, what is he going to do?
Yeah, exactly. One from James McGeehan here. We knew it was coming, and likely means he stays with us for another year. Still hate the fact he gets punished for it when he has been a walking advert for gambling for years, and to the benefit of the FA. IBS here from Fulham. Weirdly, obsessively, your club should be embarrassed. He's a disgrace as a footballer, has humiliated your club for more than one occasion now, and now this. What a joke. I wonder where you'd be without him. 16th or 17th question?
Well, at least he hasn't resorted to pushing referees. There's one here from Sarah Todd, and this is a good one as well, about what was expected. He needs to own his punishment, as he is aware it's against the rules. Unfortunate for us as a club, as the offence was not mostly at the club. The club and fans also have to bear the consequences through no faults of their own. Hopefully he'll learn from it.
Luis Adriano, I still don't know the detail of what he actually did. If he bet on anything he can influence the outcome of, it's deserved. If he just bet on outcomes he can't impact, there should be no ban whatsoever.
Simon Sapper, how can it be, and this is a very good point that a lot has been raised a lot on Twitter. I've seen Dan Walker tweet about it this evening as well. How can it be right for Ivan to be clobbered when football is drowning in gambling money? That's a very good point. Yeah.
Stuart Keane, gutted for the player and the club. Expect Sade to fill the role in Toney's absence. He's been great so far, but the raw talent is there, and the summer pre-season with us will see improvements. I think the groundsman may need to overwater the pitch at the start of the new season.
And here's one, another of the obsessed Fulham brigade. Marco Silva is magic, says, I think it's brilliant news personally. There's nothing but if not predictable.
Yeah. Rory Brown, not the end of the world. Players can easily get injured and miss half the season, like KLP. The club will already have plans in place and his value will only go up. Beast mode activated January the 24th and push up his value even further for the summer transfer window at the end of that year.
And what Paul says, this is a good one as well, if he's guilty, he's guilty. Not arguing about that, but surely the ban that directly affects Brentford should be equal to the amount of bets placed as a percentage whilst a Brentford player. Upping the fine to coincide with this would be a fairer punishment on the individual and not the club.
And Mac at BFC here, while gutted he won't be playing, I'm sure the club will have been planning for this and will do what is required to keep us competitive. Need to see the written reasoning to fully understand the length of the ban. Might struggle a little against Man City without him though. We shall see.
B on the wall says, we need to protect young lads like Ivan when in his industry betting is plastered and advertised on leagues, shirts and stadiums. More needs to be done as these are young boys and girls from the ages of 14 and even younger that are in football. This is what needs to be made an example of. Let's all get behind Ivan in these months, as I'm sure we all will. He is our man, our number 17.
I'll leave that there for the comments tonight. I'll read some more out. We're going to do another Beesotted podcast, the main weekly podcast with Billy tomorrow, when we look back at the West Ham win, look forward to Tottenham at the weekend and all the other news. But obviously, we'll talk more about the Ivan Toney news. It gives us a little bit more time to assess the impact and the reactions and just how it affects us all. So thanks very much for joining us in the Beesotted bunker tonight, Ali.
It was a good Cobra meeting.
Very good Cobra meeting. Appreciate your input. And everyone get onto Beesotted Twitter now and add your thoughts and your opinions. And all we can do now is get behind the Bees on Saturday at Tottenham, and let's hope we can survive without Ivan Toney. We certainly will. All right, come on, you Bees.
Go on, you Bees.
Brentford FC, come on, you Brentford, come